Mmm, good beer. Looks like a great day for a brew day. You gotta be kidding me. Well, it looks like I'm not going to be brewing today after all. Unless... Yep, that happens to the best of us. Just when we think we're going to have an awesome brew day, life throws us a curveball. And quite frankly, not everyone has the time to commit 7 or even 8 hours to brewing an all-grain batch of beer. So I started thinking, there has to be a simpler, faster way and get the same quality of product at the end. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to brew both extract and all-grain batches of beer using some innovative methods and be able to brew those batches of beer in less than 3 hours. So grab a home brew, sit back, and enjoy. Cheers, guys. So for both batches, I started out by filling my brew kettle with 5 gallons of hot water. For my system, I use a full-size boil, which means I'm going to have a starting boil volume of right around 7.3 gallons. This will definitely vary though, depending on your boil off and the size of your kettle. If you have a smaller kettle, just adjust these recipes. So for my extract batch, I chose to brew a German-style Vienna lager. The reason why I chose this is due to its simplicity. You don't need any steeping grains besides your base dry malt extract or liquid malt extract, and there's only one hop addition. In fact, there's a very, very small hop addition in it. So as you can see here, I've added the malt extract and stirred it in after I've got my proper volume of water, and then I'm going to go ahead and top off that water just to get up to my exact boil volume. In my case, I'm actually doing a full-size boil, but you can easily scale this down on a kitchen stovetop. For my all-grain, I chose to do an English mild because this is a fairly sessionable beer, or low alcohol, and what that generally relates to is a smaller grain bill. I believe that this grain bill is only 9 pounds total, which means if you only have a 5-gallon boil pot, you could technically still mash with this. So due to the time constraints, I'm only going to mash for 30 minutes. For the most part, your enzymatic conversions of starches into fermentable sugars will be done within the first 20 minutes of your mash anyway. Usually the 1 hour mash just allows proteins to settle out and helps with the clarity of the beer. But in our case, we're not going to worry too much about that. What you're going to do for the all grain is bring your water temperature, in my case, up to right about 155 degrees before I mash in. If you have a smaller water volume, you'll actually have to raise that up to about 170 degrees or so. And nice thing with malts these days is that they are very well modified, which means that your starch conversion will happen very rapidly and in a wide range of temperatures. As long as you can mash in somewhere between 145 and 155 degrees, you'll get a reasonable conversion. After my 30-minute saccharification rest, I'm going to raise my nylon bag just enough so that it's not touching the bottom of my kettle. Because at this point, I'm going to turn the heat, or in my case the gas, on and start to raise my temperature slowly. What this is going to do is allow some of those sugars that are still going to be trapped in the mash itself and allow those to dissolve more readily into the water. Once I hit about 170 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll want to pull that grain bag completely out of your now pre-boil wort. Once the mashing bag has been removed, what you'll do is you'll turn your heat up and bring your wort up to a boil, and then at that point you will just go through a normal boil. With the English mild, it just so happens that I have two hop additions, one at 60 minutes for a 1 hour boil and the other one is going to be at 8 minutes. Once you get your boil going, I would recommend sanitizing your fermenter and getting it ready, because we're going to apply a practice known as no-chill brewing. Turn off your heat and immediately transfer into your fermenter. In my case, I am using high-density polyethylene, or HDPE, plastic fermenters. Do not use this method in glass fermenters, as it stresses the glass and makes them more prone to breakage. Once you've got your wort transferred, seal up your fermenter as best you can, but I would recommend not filling your airlock with liquid, because the cooling process will suck in some air, and if you have liquid in your airlock, it would only suck that back into the fermenter at this point. Set your fermenter with your hot wort in a cool room and let that cool down overnight. Finally, the next morning, double check that your fermenter is cooled and down to a reasonable pitching temperature. For most yeast strains, this is going to be less than 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and pitch your yeast. At that point, continue to cool your fermenter down to your desired fermentation temperature and allow your normal fermentation to continue. And last but not least, guys, have a home brew. See you next time.